Why positive thinking isn't enough. Back with 10 things people try that don't actually get them unstuck, part 3 of 10. Just think positive. You've heard it. Maybe you've said it. Look on the bright side, speak good things over your life, manifest better outcomes, change your mindset. Now, let me be clear. There is incredible power in hope. There is incredible power in gratitude, absolutely. And scripture tells us to think about whatever is true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, and commendable in Philippians 4:8. But positive thinking alone will never transform your life. Why? Because God never called us to think positively. He called us to think truthfully. And those are not always the same thing. So let me challenge you, if I may. What if your positive thinking has become another way of avoiding reality? What if you've been speaking victory while refusing to confront what's actually defeating you? That's uncomfortable, I know. But it's also freeing because pretending something isn't there has never removed it. So, what's the difference between optimism and truth? Optimism says everything will work out. Truth asks what needs to change. Optimism says I'm blessed. Truth says, am I being obedient? Optimism says I know things will get better, but truth asks, what responsibility have I been avoiding? One confronts you and the other transforms you. Actually, I should say one comforts you and the other transforms you. So let's look at the trap of surface level change, because I've watched people repeat affirmations every morning while continuing to make the same destructive decisions every afternoon. They speak confidence, but avoid difficult conversations. They declare abundance, but never practice stewardship. They talk about purpose, but refuse to take the first uncomfortable step. Words matter, but words disconnected from obedience becomes, you guessed it, wishful thinking. So let's look at what Scripture actually teaches. The Apostle Paul didn't write, be transformed by positive thinking. He wrote, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's Romans 12:2. Notice the difference? A renewed mind is not simply optimistic. A renewed mind agrees with God. It begins to see people the way God sees them. It begins to see circumstances the way God sees them. It begins to see yourself the way God sees you. Renewal is deeper than positivity. Renewal changes perspective, and perspective changes decisions. So now let me give you the framework. Truth to belief to behavior. As the Unstuck advisor, one framework I return to over and over is this. Truth shapes belief. Belief shapes identity, and identity shapes behavior. If you're trying to change behavior without confronting false beliefs, you'll eventually return to old patterns, because behavior is the fruit. Belief is the root. You see, most people spend all their energy trimming fruit. Very few examine the roots. So what's the question behind the question? When someone tells me, I just need to be more positive, I will usually ask a different question. What are you believing that's producing the life you're living? That question changes everything, because behind every repeated behavior, there's usually a repeated belief. And until that belief is challenged by truth, the cycle continues. And now for the unstuck truth. You don't need to convince yourself everything is okay. You need the courage to face what isn't. Because God's truth never condemns you, it invites you. It exposes what is false so he can establish what is true. Real freedom isn't found in pretending, it's found in agreement with God. Now, here's something I want you to reflect on. Ask yourself honestly, what uncomfortable truth have I been avoiding? What belief about myself, God, or my future needs to be challenged? And am I trying to think positively, or am I allowing God to renew my mind? Don't rush those questions. The answers may reveal why you've been working so hard without experiencing lasting change. And if you're enjoying this series, give it a like, leave a comment, because next time we'll go into part 4, why waiting until you feel ready keeps you stuck. We'll uncover why confidence is almost never the starting point and why so many people delay the very thing God has already equipped them to do. And if you're ready to renew more than your thinking, transformation isn't about becoming more optimistic. It's about aligning your thinking, identity, and actions with God's truth. That's exactly what we work through in my awareness, identity, and direction calls. Together, we'll identify the beliefs that are quietly keeping you stuck, separate truth from assumption, clarify the next step God may be already calling you to take. Now, I intentionally leave the number of these assessments very small because I want the conversations to remain purposed and focused. And so I'm going to attach an application that you should download, fill out, send it to unstuckin7days@gmail.com, and let's see if we can't help you. Until next time.